Thank you for joining us today for Optimize Your Online Presence, the first of the Small Business Webinar Series. My name is Duke Wynn Abrahamson. I am the Executive Director of the Asian Pacific American Chamber of Commerce, also known as APAC. This year, APAC celebrates our 22 years of facilitating business relationships among Asian-owned and US-based companies and promoting the economic advancement of the Asian American Pacific Islander. Businesses owned by Asian Americans from China, Japan, Korea, Taiwan, the Philippines, and India, among other countries, Fortune 500 corporations, entrepreneurs, business professionals, cultural organizations and associations, and political government dignitaries have supported APAC throughout the years and are the reason for our success. We are a collective voice for 30 plus Asian and Asian Pacific countries. We are able to do this through the strategic partnerships with Asian cultural associations throughout Michigan and nationally, and through our sponsors. Thank you to General Motors for supporting the AAPI small business community, the Michigan Economic Development Corporation, Pure Michigan Business Connect for sponsoring our speaker, Son Tran from Pitch Black Media, and National ACE for bringing us Grow with Google with Dung Tran. Let me begin by introducing Laura Van Hoody, APAC's Small Business Action Committee Chair. Laura is a benefits consultant with Hub International, an employee benefits firm with 7 Michigan locations that serve both small and mid-sized businesses.
Sounds good. Thanks, Duke. Hi, everyone. I hope that the week is going well. As Duke mentioned, I'm the current chair of the Small Business Action Committee. And just to give you some idea of what that really is, we were formed last fall and have spent the following months really identifying some needs of Asian small business community members and what we can do to really support them in the way of education, webinars, potential in-person roundtables. And we're excited to really bring speakers such as San to provide information that hopefully will help Asian small businesses. So in terms of what you can do, if you'd like more information on the website of APAC, apac.net, there's a section up at the top that gives a little blurb. And really for the next few months, in addition to giving webinars, we really want to hear from the community. So if there's something that you're challenged with, or you think there's something that small businesses could benefit from, we'd love to hear from you, and we'd love to understand a little bit more, not only of what needs you have, but how we can further support the Asian community and more importantly, reach them. So thanks so much for joining. We look forward to future events and have a wonderful webinar.
All right. I think, go ahead, Duke, if you want to turn on the presentation here. I think along the way, we're really going to make this more of a conversation than a presentation for you. Duke's going to be tracking all the questions coming during the slides. So we'll respond to them during the presentation. And yeah, keep it at the conversational level. Go ahead and go to the next slide, Duke. A little bit about myself. I am 25 years of digital experience, or 25 years of digital nerd, 15 years that within tourism and economic development. One of the sponsors, MEDC, Travel Michigan's, were one of my past lives in profession. I find it a privilege to be here to present to you. And coming from, my family left Vietnam back when I was 4 during that mass exodus. So I find it a privilege here to have the opportunity to share my insights and my experience and helping the Asian business community. My digital lead could not make it today, but Brendan is 12 years of digital marketing experience. He's got more Google certifications that we could list in here, but we snatched him from Google about 3 years ago. So a couple really big nerds on the team. Go ahead and go to the next slide. So we had some of the businesses enter in the chat what kind of businesses they are in. So I will try to highlight during the presentation some of the benefits that would go directly to your type of business. So for those who've entered late, if you can in the chat, identify what kind of businesses you are or what kind of services you provide, that'd be great. So typically for us, the small business, small, medium-sized business challenges, what we experience or what we run into a lot of businesses is the same across the board, right? And a lot of the businesses have very little time, limited budgets. Which channels do they decide to go in, whether or not they go into ads, social, email marketing, SEO, SEM, all this. Just it's a mix of opportunities available to them. And analytics. Many of the small businesses don't pay attention to analytics, but data is just key to getting those conversions on their return on investment, right? And overall, many just shrug their shoulders because they don't really know whether or not their programs work for them. So we're looking to shed some light on those challenges for you and alleviate them. Go ahead to the next slide. So the agenda for today, we're going to go through local search. This is where we think where a majority of the small businesses can have its most significant impact for them. We'll take a look at websites where once you get the users to your website, what kind of experience are they having? Can it be the best experience? Social, we'll highlight social media and share our perspective and priorities in that channel. And then of course, again, as I mentioned, analytics, helping you understand what some of the key metrics you can use to really impact your bottom line. So yeah, let's go local. Go ahead and jump to the next slide. So the reason why we prioritize local search is because it's the growing trend of prioritization of Google search. 46% of all users are looking for location-based information. And you can see the staggering 9,000% increase with terms like nearby or close by me. That actually jumped tenfold because it was actually originally tracking around 900,000% over the last 2 years, but since COVID hit, that number just shot straight up, right? And do those search numbers actually work? Yes. 70% of all search results send consumers to a physical store, and then 78% of those people come back and make an offline purchase in the future. So how can you take advantage of those location-based searches? Go ahead to the next slide, Duke. The local pack. I'm sure you're all familiar with this when you look for restaurants, shopping, services around you. 30% of all the clicks happens within this space here. So it's a priority for you to make sure that your businesses appear in that local pack. So how do you optimize for that? And how can you get as many of those clicks? Go ahead and go to the next slide. It's really about optimizing your Google My Business profile listing, or what Google's not recently changed to Google Business Profile. But it is establishing, understanding what kind of primary categories are out there for your business. In this example, for one of my clients, they're listed as a gastropub, but you can see that actually Google changes those categories periodically to where it can get more specific for your business type. So if you open up a ramen shop, you would want to be labeled as a ramen shop because it just helps with your conversions. Keywords in the business titles also make an impact. Funny thing, we had a coffee shop over here in Ferndale change their name to Coffee Shop Near Me, trying to game the system a little bit, but then they got shut down by Google. So don't try to game the system. Proximity to searchers also help, how close they are to your business, but the links to the local pages, and of course, positive Google reviews. I know that could be a point of friction for a lot of business owners because reviews can be a difficult thing to manage. But the main thing is just being responsive to the users, and that's probably the biggest thing you can do is let the customers know that you're listening and paying attention, and that goes a long way. Go ahead, the next slide. A couple of years ago, Google also released a new feature that I think still many business owners aren't aware of, where they allow you to do posts. And it's a great opportunity especially if you're on social already, to post the similar content because it allows you to post announcements in the streams, offers, sales, new product launches, and event details. And it just gives the right signals to Google to show you that you're a business and a property that is active in the space, and it improves your ranking in those map pack returns. So something to pay attention to, and for certainly for small businesses to take advantage of. I'm gonna pause there for a second there to see if anybody has any questions at all, and to and is the pace okay?
It looks
right.
good, but I
Looks
just
good.
wanted to share some of the businesses that are on the call today. Interior design, community media, law, finance, estate, succession, retirement planning, and of course,
I recognize Caleb. Hi, Caleb. All right, we'll continue to go on. Go ahead to the next slide, Luke. So here's where some opportunities exist. So I believe Aubrey is the one that I mentioned. So this is her business listing. It's Next Tech Interiors. So businesses often focus on their Google search, their map, typically Facebook also. But what's great here is you see Aubrey's listing in other directories, Bing, for example, here, where this is one of the best scores we typically find for an audit, Aubrey, because typically when we find for small businesses, there's just high percentages of missing data or wrong data. So you're doing quite well. Where typically when businesses set up their listings, they kind of forget about them. So you want to make sure that you can keep on managing the data so that it's consistent. And you can see here in that Bing listing that you've got, I think, old addresses or old site information in that listing, right? So just to make sure that for businesses, if you can get in as many of the different directories as possible, it actually provides 10 to 20% increases in organic search. I know for many businesses, they think I use Google and that's the only place I want to be or need to be, but many of the businesses would certainly take an additional 10 to 20% organic traffic monthly, right? So it's an opportunity there for you to capitalize on as a small business owner. One of the things here, we'll show you some examples. This is an example of one of our reporting dashboards for clients. Here's some of the things that you should pay attention to as a small business owner. So you can see in the lower left corner here, indirect searches and direct searches. So direct searches, those are people that users are looking for you with your brand name. So they know you already. They're searching by the brand name and finding you. Where you want to pay attention to the growth is in indirect searches. If somebody was looking for a particular type of service, a food type, a category that you provide, that's where you want to appear and begin and look to grow, because those are new customers for you. And you can see here the green percentage number underneath shows the organic increase after that businesses have helped to optimize their listing. So month to month, you want to see that number continue to grow. Another key item to help you answer like whether or not the strategy is working and the digital marketing strategy is working. You can see calls and direction requests on the right-hand side there. That's user intent, right? So somebody coming in and looking or asking for directions in the app shows that they have intent to drive to your business. Calling your business, obviously, that's another great way to say, yeah, I'm getting traction on my listing. So those are the key bits of information for a business owner to pay attention to in the reports. I think Yung is going to be talking about Google My Business, and so she'll show you those analytics. Go ahead to the next slide, Luke. Other options available to small businesses. Again, I'm part of the Small Business Action Committee along with Laura. We deal with a lot of what would be mom and pop shops, and where there are some, a wealth of opportunities on Google, where if you didn't have the funding for a website, you could create a free website on Google. It's very limited, but it has more information than what your Google My Business listing would provide. Ordering options available. We saw a lot of restaurants put their menus online, and that's integrated within the Google ecosystem also. Shopping, if you're a retailer, Google allows you to upload your product listings and feature them on Google Shopping. And of course, ads. Some businesses, this is where they can really shine, is participating within Google Search and Google Display. And we'll show you an example of one of our businesses that are doing that well. All right, let's talk about website and go ahead and go to the next slide. So the three key things that I think business owners tend to miss when they go into the website: page speed. So really, how quickly the site loads, right? And so you can kind of relate to your own experience when a site begins to load too slow, you leave, right? And then the SSL security and then malware check. So let's go through some of the details here. Go ahead to the next slide. So this is one of the restaurants that we helped. Bob Kitmani is here in Ferndale. Their load time originally was over like 23 seconds, 26 seconds. And so they had a lot of people come to the site and just, you could see them that they leave right away. So they had a high bounce rate because they didn't wait around. So 40% of our users leave when a site takes about over 3 seconds to load. And typically 80% of those users never come back. So that's a huge opportunity there. We helped them just optimize their images a little bit and then got it down to less than a 2.3 second load time. So that changed the experience immensely for the users there. So one of the ways in which you can, go ahead.
So what is the percentage of users viewing a website on a mobile device? Does that affect the numbers here?
It does, yeah, it does. It's very, and it's all different. Obviously mobile is on the rise. But certain sectors, industries, is still a desktop also. But yes, you can run this test on mobile devices, and mobile, that's even more important to have because they're on 4G or not quite yet 5G, but they're on slower networks typically. So it's more important to have that mobile experience optimized. So it's the numbers are all different, Duke, but yes, mobile's. In a lot of industries, mobile's past desktop. If you wanted to, you can use the site gtmetrics.com there in the lower left, and you can go there and run your own audit against your website and check that site speed. All right, go to the next slide. SSL certificate. So this one, so Google acknowledged this a couple of years ago, kind of gave out the warning that says, hey, get your SSL certificate because it becomes it's a security certificate so that helps encrypt the data on the website. And so they acknowledge this as a key item. And so many of the small business owners actually kind of miss this opportunity also, where they assume the hosting provider will provide it for them, but sometimes it's an additional option, but it should be checked because this is the type of message that the user gets when you don't have an SSL certificate. It states your connection that's not private, and it asks you, do you want to go? Not many people are going to go past this point, right? So you should check to make sure that your site has an HTTPS certificate. And typically you can look up in the upper right where it says not secure, there should be a padlock there that would indicate where your certificate is in place. If you didn't have one, you can go to letsencrypt.org and get a free one. And it lets you renew that every 90 days for free. So that's what someplace where you can register for a free SSL certificate and work with their hosting provider to get that installed. So get that security check in place. The next one, this is probably the biggest is that once the business owner sets up a website, they kind of leave it outdated. It's still the maintenance of this where plugins should be updated. You should delete unused plugins. Obviously use secure passwords. I know, as I mentioned, that some people go, oh, I should stop using password 123. So it's an easy way. It's a very easy way for hackers to come in and hack your website. And of course, a quality hosting service provider also. So, and actually, I did a couple of scans on which I think are some participants in here. So go ahead and go to the next one. So this is Next Tech Interiors also. We ran the scan. You can use the service there, security.net, to check your website to make sure that you're not exposed. You see that there's no malware on the site, so they managed it well. The site's not blacklisted. But one of the things here that's subtle is the directory listing, the arrows pointing there. the direct listing is enabled on the site. Now, it's a really nerdy thing, but what it is it essentially allows somebody to come in and take a look at all the files in their directory. So where that becomes a risk is if you had like client information on the site, if you had price sheets that were private on the site, product data. So if somebody came in and saw that listing exposed, they could get access to everything in there. So they essentially can see the full file listings of a website. So you want to go turn that off. And Aubrey, in that thing, it shows you how you can do that. The next thing here is another example where I think this is probably more, you can see this website, this of one of the businesses. I think it's missing content, right? None of the images are loading, none of the texts are loading. And this is often an opportunity where, or a situation where the plugins have expired or a version of WordPress has changed and it's changed the compatibility of the site. So then, you know, your site is broken. So that's missed client opportunities, right? So it could be a hosting environment issue also, or the site could, again, be hacked. So it's always good to check and make sure that your site's functioning properly. Any questions here? All right, I'll keep on going. Social media. So this this could be a full session onto its own. We're going to just put some perspective on this, and really this bit of information is we're always asked this from a small business owner, and there's always a sense of frustration behind it because there's so many opportunities or so many challenges and noise, and so we try to help them focus on priorities. So obviously for social media usage, it continues to grow. And obviously during COVID, it continued to grow quite well. So you can see the numbers of increases here within the generations. But do go ahead to the next slide.
So before we move on, Son, what would you recommend if a small mom and pop shop said, hey, is it more important for us to have our own website, or should we work on social media? What would you recommend for them?
Site. Yeah, the website. Well, so the website is, I think website and search, where what it does is it captures user intent. They're looking for a particular product or service. In social, you've got to kind of target the people that are maybe be looking for your product service then. But not, they're looking at pictures of dogs, cats, food, you know, exercise. So they're not really showing intent. They're passively engaged right now. But in search, they're actively engaged in looking to solve and answer a problem, right? Solve a solution or solve a problem that they're having. So website, I think, would be more important. Local listing, I think, is the baseline. That has to happen for every business. So when it goes to social, they're like, okay, which channel should we prioritize? And it's like, well, here are the numbers of what I think this was HubSpot or Spout Social survey, asking consumers which social channels do they expect businesses to have. Facebook still outranks, but it's obviously matching to your audience, right? You understand where your age and demographic are. You should target toward that channel. And where we feel Instagram, although they're only 48%, they actually have higher engagement and conversion rates. So it's really about prioritizing a channel and doing it really well versus kind of spreading yourself thin across multiple channels and just doing it poorly. And so that's where we would say, hey, this is where you should prioritize your audience, prioritize the channels, and just focus on one. And really, go ahead and go to the next slide. This is what the consumers are asking for when you're on social. It's really centered around customer service. So, you know, because people go on social to lament and complain, it is really about capturing and being there to engage the audience, 46% of that, and being transparent. And so it's really a customer service solution, I think, more than anything else now. You know, only 39% say, yeah, create memorable content for me. And, you know, distinct personality. So it's not as high priority as users as the business owners think. It's really about customer service. So that's where I think we, you know, as a business owner, to prioritize and understand what really the need is and want there from the users. Go ahead to the next one. Thank you. And this is where I mentioned, so you can have different engagement rates, right? So many of the business owners we talked to is like, I have 4,000, people in the audience, but only 6 click. Like, here are the actual, click-through rates and engagement rates. So, the reality, you're not Zendaya, you're here. And so these are the actual kind of conversion rates for your industries, right? So food and beverage, retail, and there are other numbers you can go up and like service and take a look and see what the actual conversion rates are. So you're not, pounding yourself over the head on those numbers that are coming back. So and match it up against the actual reality there. So again, here's where I mentioned the food and beverage for engagement for Instagram still strong, 1.06 and 0.6. So those are the
do you think the reason why the Instagram for food and beverage is so high is because people are just posting the pictures of their food?
Yes. Oh yeah, absolutely. And then it's just a lot of influencers, and it's been such that it's just that stronger community around it. That community has grown. So it's just not done on Facebook. Oh, the A word. Yes. So the analytics. So where every time we pull up a dashboard, a client, so we talk about data and analytics, eyes glaze over, and that you just kind of get that groan. But it's really about, go ahead and go to the next slide, dude. It's really about just simplifying what you are looking at. And really, as a business owner, you should be working with your agency, your web developer to really set up the things, the metrics that actually impact you as a business. Where a lot of times I think some people bring back reports and just kind of throw you these charts and these graphs and something, and you say, here it is, but you don't really understand what those numbers mean, right? So how does it really affect your bottom line? This is an example of reporting for a dermatologist that runs ads that we support. So this is every conversion that can be specific to the business owner itself. So you can see the types of conversions. I apologize, I had to redact some of the information here. So form submissions, calls from the site. This is for the month of March. Calls from the site, calls from ads, and the top one was specific conversion to the business also. So she's doing quite well in the locations, right? So in the month, she can come in and take a look at the cost per conversion, how much did that lead or how much did that client cost them, and then how many she got for that month. And so they're all numbers or all metrics that affect the bottom line. How many appointments is she booking? And so every business owner should have it specific to them. How many people clicked on my menu? How many clicked on checkout? And get the information that is important to helping their business stay alive, right? So it's not just how many users, just really how many conversions am I getting? Because a lot of people say content is king. I would say data is queen. She makes a lot more moves for you, and so that's why data is so important. And you can see here. Go ahead and go to the next slide. So this is specific for one of the restaurants, right? So monthly revenue, they can see direct to them 106,000. For Google, 7,000. Facebook, 700. So now you can see, okay, Facebook got me around $1,300. Instagram got me around $493. I can prioritize my budget based on that. So you can see where your source of income is coming in from, and then make more informed, data-driven decisions that is going to impact your bottom line, impact your revenue. One of the cool things also, Google released a beta feature that's kind of been popping in and out for business owners, but they actually allow you to track store visits now. So by mobile device of a user just walking into your restaurant or your retail or service, it tracks them, and they don't have to check in or anything like that. It's just tracking by mobile device. You have to have a certain threshold of people walking in because Google tries to anonymize the data. But you can see this restaurant pulled in 4,200 users that month. So just a wealth of information, and for any business owner putting any kind of program together, they can make that information and that data work for them. So go ahead to the next slide. Oh, there you go. Any questions? Any follow-up? Some people get shy about the questions. You can always email us if you have any additional questions also. Will we
So,
open it up?
so Son, I want to ask a couple of questions.
Sure.
And I just want to make sure that we're hitting all different types of businesses. So what are your recommendations? I know that you're like a listing is the most important, and then a website, and then social media. So what if your business is more a B2B rather than consumer end users? Uh,
Yeah,
is that different?
it can be different. So B2B can actually still, and let me switch the order around a bit. Local listing, website, and actually Google search and display, I think is stronger than social. Because again, it is around capturing that user intent and that search for a problem or search for a solution, right? Because so they're actively engaged in those terms, and you have data around those volume of terms also. We work with a corporate insurance client, and then everything is both search and display, and of course LinkedIn. But you're using the data across those systems to target appropriately, and for B2B, that's where we would focus on still search, Google search, display, and LinkedIn.
So, and I'm going to ask more questions in
Yeah,
regards to this,
absolutely.
because I know our members have a lot of questions when it comes to, hey, I don't have a department to send this to. I don't even have a staff member to send this to.
Yeah.
All of this is me that is working on all of this. So let's say they have a listing. How much time will it take to put up a website or hire somebody to do that website? And how often does that have to be updated?
Oh, the time varies obviously by the complexity of the website, but a lot of informational websites, there's opportunities for restaurant owners or small business owners. There's a dearth of website templates out there that they can just start off from. There's not a need for a lot of complexity, because anything from shopping carts or menu items or checkout items you can get from a third-party provider like Square, right? They provide those menu functionalities for the business. So as just an informational website, it can be very inexpensive for business owners to get up, where it could be low thousands and obviously on up also, based on the complexity. But and they can come up rather quickly. Where I think the point of time, or it takes the longest, is actually on the business owner to get all the information together and get it out there. Because again, they're kind of working on their business. But we see anywhere from a couple of weeks possible to for larger corporate clients, sometimes the site development takes over a year. As far as updates, it's two aspects of it. It's content update, and there's also the plugin, the backend kind of system updates. Those updates should be monitored regularly, and there are chances where I think it be like every month you should certainly monitor it and update. As far as the content is really driven by the business owner themselves. Do they need to update menus seasonally, new products I mentioned? So that varies depending upon the business also.
Okay, we have a question. They'd like to learn more about Google SEOs. Do you consult or train?
We do, yes. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
and
if
I
Anand wants to follow up, yeah.
Yeah, I just want to mention, although it was on the screen, we will be adding the contact information in the description below in our YouTube channel. So, Caleb, you have
Caleb's
a question?
raising his hand.
Go ahead, Caleb.
Hey, first of all, I just want to say that Son is amazing. This is, I think, the third presentation I've watched of his. I help out like a video game streamer, so I'm around a lot of tech people. There's a huge tendency to get buried in it, and Son is exceptional amongst experts in his area for being able to give the information in a clear way and not act condescending towards those of us like myself who are pretty tech dumb. So I personally really appreciate it, and anyone here that needs him, I just have to plug him, because if you're going to send someone to someone that trusts you and know that Son is talking to them across a call about concepts they may not understand, you can know that Son is very respectful and informative. He does not talk down to folks. He's just a pleasure to to interact with and to learn from. So
I appreciate it, man. Thank you.
yeah, I think that's very exceptional in your field, particularly. So my question is that for businesses that that I deal with, they are very zero sum about the way they spend their marketing dollars, and so they're told by their nephew or whoever, you need to spend money, on web presence and things like that, and they're not convinced. So is anyone, I guess, Sun or anyone in this APAC organization, are you aware of any grants where application windows are live right now, where the disbursement of those funds are eligibly spent on services like yours? And then that way for them, it's an easier sell, it's an easier pill to swallow.
Unfortunately, I don't know of any grants currently that are available right now. As grants do come up, especially for these small businesses, we do post them on our website, and you don't have to be a member to access that information. So visit our website often, apac.net. And thank you, Sun. I'm going to move on to Jung, and hopefully she can give us some more insight and maybe some more possibilities for grants. I know National ACE offers opportunities for grants often, and we do post those up on our website as well. Jung?
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for having me today. My name is Dung Tran. I am the Programs Associate at National ACE. The long version of the name is the National Asian Pacific Islander Chamber of Commerce and Entrepreneurship, but you can just call us National ACE. I'm so happy to be here today. Thank you so much, Laura and Duke and Sun and APAC for allowing me to join. I'm here as your kind of Google helper to answer any questions you may have about Google's resources for small business owners and entrepreneurs. This is a bit more, I guess, back to the basic on how to use these tools that are free that Google has offered. I do want to touch a little bit on National ACE grants. We actually had a UPS grant, $5,000 for API small business entrepreneurs. We actually just recently closed that, unfortunately, but that $5,000 was something that you could have applied for and spent that money on whatever you need for your small business. Another thing that will be coming up is we have our Grubhub grant, and this is specifically for restaurant owners. It would be $10K for a restaurant who's won. Last year, we've given $10K to 195 restaurants. And so it's a big grant, about 2 million total. And so we're so fortunate to have this grant again this year. And we also are working on a number of other grants that aren't just restaurants. And so please check out our websites for updates on that.
Thank you, Jung. I will also include those in the description below.
Yes, awesome. Okay, and so I guess Sun did an amazing job on, I guess, very specific and specific examples and real life examples. As I said before, this Google training is a little bit more back to the basics on, those small mom and pop shops who don't really understand the internet. And so excuse if this is just, I guess, a reminder for you. But just really briefly on how to get your business on local business on Google Search and Google Maps. Doug, can you move to the next slide? As he said before, when people are looking for something, the first thing they do is search it. So if you need a gift, you search for ideas, or if you need a restaurant, you search Google or Google Maps. You might visit the website to get more information. You might read a little bit more if they have a little bit more information. If there's a YouTube video, they might search, they look at that too. They search if it's nearby. And bonus, if they have your email or they sell a coupon, they might go through that and you have yourself a customer. Duke, next. So to get your business on Google Search and Google Maps, it's about a month process. First, you have to visit Google My Business, create an account if you have a Google account, that's completely fine. You can use that. Enter the name of your business, enter that category. As Sun mentioned, it's very important to put the category so that people know exactly what they're looking at. To be on Google search and maps, you have to have a physical address. And so PO boxes are not allowed. Home addresses are not recommended unless you have a business site to your home. Otherwise, do not put your home address on there unless you want some unexpected visitors. You complete all the extra information like your phone number, your website, and what Google does, they will send you a postcard to your physical address to prove that you do own this address. You take that physical card and complete the online instructions to get full access to your Google profile. Once you're on your Google profile, that's when you can update things like photos, offers, news, links to bookings, links to order your food. This is also where you can respond to customer reviews and explore insights to see how customers find and engage with your business profile. Next. And so shifting on, because I guess Sun had a lot of content and I just wanted to like brush over almost a little bit of everything. And so shifting to Google Ads, how to set up Google Ads, you go to g.co/ads, click start now, enter that business info again, enter information for your first ad, and then the billing info. This might look a little scary because what they do is they jump you right into creating an ad. Just know that you don't have to actually start the ad, but it's great to play around with the system to see how to create an ad, right? And step one is to select an advertising goal. People might feel intimidated because it feels like a survey. It is not. Just click on what you want, explore the page, it's fine. Duke, you can go to the next page. And it'll put you through an 8-step process. You click your goal, enter your business name, add your website, write your ad. Keywords, as Sun mentioned, are super important. You select keywords, select your location, your targeted audience of who you want this ad to go to. You set a budget, you finish it up. Once you're done, you don't actually have to start the ad immediately. Again, this is just Google's way to get you started, but you don't have to be pressured to start right away.
So Yung, let's say you don't have a website and you're filling this information out. Can you just skip a portion of these 8 steps and still have an ad?
I think they will flag you on it. And so I think as Sun mentioned before, one of the most important things while you're online is to have a website. And so I think it's very important to have a website first and then play with, Google Ads and Google search, etc.
You could temporarily use the Google's website service to set one up in there temporarily and then change the domain later.
That is a loophole around it. And so
work around.
Yes. Have a fake one and then change it. And then touch on a little bit about consumer focused marketing. To the next slide. So what is marketing? Marketing is storytelling. It's about building that trust, credibility, those relationships, and also influencing your customers along the customer journey, as Sun mentioned before, right? And so I guess this is more theory. And so I'm really appreciative that we got Sun's presentation first. And so what is the what's the customer's journey? Awareness. How did they know about you? How did they learn about you? Do they know you even exist, right? Consideration, whether or not they want to do business with you. Purchase, this is the part where they actually buy something from you. And then advocacy, whether or not they like you so much, just like Caleb, to share that positive experience, and kind of promote the brand, which is a son, right? And so as the business owner or the marketer, on each step, you want to help your customer through the journey. So for them to be aware of you, you need to reach them. And there are different ways to create that customer awareness. That's, your YouTube channel or your website or your business My Profile, a bunch of different online resources. Engage with those customers. And so on your business profile, you're answering those review questions. You're answering, you're interacting directly with your customers, whether online or in person. Convert. This is, I guess, more of the technical side, making it super easy for them to purchase from you. And then sustain. How do you make your customers loyal to you? How do you encourage them to be an advocate for your brand? On to the next slide. And so just to touch up a little bit on those four again, awareness, Google search, word of mouth, advertising, trade show, marketing, searching online. Consideration, why would they consider you, right? Why would they want to purchase from you? And this is a lot more learn and listening, hearing from their perspective, what they're seeing and what they're hearing from you, so that you can make improvements as to so that you can hear from them how to sell yourself better, right? So your products and your business better. Next slide. Purchase, how do you make those leads become customers? Key action, identify key actions and ready customers. This can be more on the Google Analytics side, actually, because you'll see sometimes when a customer is just about to purchase something, but didn't quite purchase it. And we're wondering why didn't they follow through with it, right? Why didn't they complete the purchase? And so we go into more data, we go into more we go into finding the customers that are just at the border and convincing them to make the purchase. And so those things might be a call to action, 20% off, or a buy now, hurry, et cetera, like ways to encourage them to make that purchase. You saw that they looked at your website once, and then you saw them look at that website again. Shoot them that email saying that, like, hey, this is a limited item, et cetera, right? Different ways to encourage them to make that purchase. And then lastly, streamline the purchasing process, how to make it as easy as possible for them to make the purchase. Because the harder it is, the more steps to buy, the more likely the customer is able to decide to turn away. We want to make that process as easy as possible. And then finally, sustaining your customers, building that customer loyalty, providing more value. Some people do VIP specials, some people do customer loyalty and incentives. And some people just, really just enjoy your personality, your company, how you work with them, how you speak with them. And they recommend you to their friend or another person, right? We want to make sure that the customers are happy in every part of that process. And then before I move to Google Analytics, is there any questions on, I guess, the three items I just mentioned over?
None so far.
Great. And we have 6 minutes left, so I'll be quick on this one. Making better decisions with Google Analytics. To the next slide. And so why use Google Analytics? It delivers, those very important insights to make strategic business decisions. You can learn about which search items people use to find your business, see the demographic of those customers, understand what content your audience is most interested in, and evaluate those channels that drive most conversions, just like the examples that Sun has shown before. Next slide. And so a couple of examples of reports that you can get on Google Analytics is real time, what's happening right now. When you push an ad out, you can actually see in real time if it's working or people clicking or people seeing it. And then you can also see, where they're coming from, right? Are they coming from the phone? Are they coming from Facebook? Are they coming from Google? Are they coming from YouTube? What computer they're coming from? What kind of tablet they're coming from? That's information that you can get from Google Analytics. Engagement, how they're interacting, where they're interacting. It can go as far as, on your site. At what point in your site are they jumping off and jumping on? Monetization, what are they purchasing on your site? Retention, how frequently they engage, and demographics, who are they? Next.
Yung, a question. So let's say you have all of this data. What can our users or our our members, how do they use this data to advance what they need to do? I mean, this is great, all this information, all this data, but what do we do with this data?
Absolutely. I think what you can do with the data is, I think it might have been slide 15. Yes, no, the slide, exactly. And so I think a lot of business owners are super intelligent and super smart, and they have great gut instincts on like how to move forward with their business. Data is something that can support and help their hypothesis, right? And so some business might be using doing marketing, doing ads, making purchase because they think that their audience is 35 to 45-year-old females, right? And that and they're also pushing all this money into ads because they think ads are the best way to get customers. Google Analytics can help you figure out if that is, Google Analytics can help you confirm your theories, or help you change your direction so that you can make more strategic actions and decisions. And so through Google Analytics, you might find out that your customers are actually a little younger. Your customers might be primarily male. You're not actually getting as much traffic through ads. It's actually organic search. And so you might want to shift your marketing plan into how to improve your organic search, since that's where your customers are coming from, right?
One of the ways, add something here. One of the ways, Duke, to your B2B question earlier, is that the data that comes in and you validate it with a series of ads of demographics, psychographics, and targeting, you can actually just use an initial budget, say your budget is spread thin, and target a geo area and validate that audience to say, does it work, this audience work for me to convert? And then you say, yeah, it does. Or you can tweak it until it gets to numbers of conversions you like, and then say, okay, put this same targeting on my other store, or put it on my other location. So plop it over in Austin, or plop it over in Southfield. And so you can use a concentrated budget to focus on an audience in an area, and then use that conversion to grow and spread out.
Absolutely.
And I apologize. I have an 11 o'clock. I have to hop over. I appreciate everyone's time. Thank you very much. Again, very much a privilege. And,
absolutely.
It was great to meet everybody.
Thank you so much, Sun. I'm actually going to close up anyways. If you have any other questions on, Grow with Google or National ACE, you can check our website. We have a ton of events, a ton of different webinars. There are many resources, and then also check our website for any grants you have. Any grants we have are coming up. Sign up for our newsletter so you can get that up-to-date up-to-date information. And thank you so much for having me. To you, Duke.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
Both our presenters, Sun and Yung, This was a lot of information. I will make sure that I include all of the links in our description and contact information for both of our presenters